the girl never imagined that to help her win the prince, the spirit of light would actually sacrifice its own life force to let the prince personally experience the original storyline of the game. The intention was to show him how unbearable the original Lisa was, but the prince shattered the illusion and instead realized just how special Lisa truly was, simply because in the 6 or 7 years before meeting Lisa, he had truly lived devoid of emotion, just like a puppet. Because of this, he longed to meet someone who could pique his interest and make him genuinely want to cherish them. But even though he knew what he just saw was merely an illusion created by the light spirit, for some reason, the emotions he had fought so hard to develop were gradually fading away, until he completely transformed into the character from the story, facing that sudden epidemic that claimed countless lives. Even though a specific cure was discovered, there wasn't enough time to cultivate it in large quantities. As Lisa's mother unfortunately fell ill, the Marquis could only beg the king to give him the cure from the royal reserves. But the prince coldly thought that daring to approach the king when a family member was infected meant he wanted to bring ruin to the kingdom. But no matter how desperately the Marquis pleaded, even as a friend, the king, to prevent people from gossiping, could only choose to refuse. The prince agreed with the king's decision. If he showed favoritism to a vassal, it would inevitably trigger public resentment. He was a competent monarch, but he also lost a friend because of it. 6 or 7 weeks later, the Marchioness died of the illness, and the prince merely offered hypocritical pleasantries. From then on, the Marquis realized one truth: only by becoming the queen could Lisa avoid repeating her mother's tragic fate. Jack knew very well that this was just an illusion, but just like a person dreaming, who doesn't realize they are dreaming, his current self overlapped with that alternate version of himself. The emotions he had finally acquired were gradually being stripped away, and Lisa's personality grew increasingly nasty under the Marquis' spoiling. Just because she disliked the hair accessory prepared by a maid, she complained to her father that the maid was trying to embarrass her, resulting in the maid being fired on the spot. The prince knew that ever since his wife died, the count seemed like a completely different person. As the only person he doted on, he heard Lisa was becoming more arrogant by the day, but fortunately, she was still fairly submissive to him every time. The prince intended that as long as she didn't cause any major trouble, he would just maintain the status quo. After all, breaking off the engagement would be a hassle.
なんだか最近ずっと薄暗いね。今日は晴天では。ごめんなさい。ごめんなさい。でもちゃんと幸せになれるから。
Every meeting with Lisa was nothing more than a routine chore for the prince, although he knew attending would be boring. Missing his fiancée's tea party would only bring him a ton of trouble. Who knew he would bump into Anna walking her bird on the way? The prince was instantly drawn to her pure aura. Upon learning she was a freshman this year, and with no friends, could only explore the school with a little bird, the prince chose to pick 6 or 7 roses and gave them to her. This was the very first time he took an interest in someone else. One day, while taking a walk in the garden, he happened to run into Anna taking a nap under a tree. Seeing the prince, she immediately backed away. The prince introducing himself took Anna by surprise, simply because he shared the same name as the crown prince. Yet the prince didn't mind at all. Instead, as an apology, he asked Anna to accompany him for a walk. He grew intrigued by this noble lady from the countryside, who befriended little birds and dozed off in public. She seemed like a decent temporary plaything to pass the time. However, because Anna grew too close to the prince, she was frequently bullied by Lisa and her followers. Because the Marquis' family was still useful to him, the prince had always let Lisa do whatever she wanted. But if she dared to break his new toy, he would have no choice but to eliminate her early. The prince prepared a gown for Anna, hoping she would stand by his side at tomorrow's graduation ball. Anna no longer hid her feelings, even though the prince and Lisa were already engaged, and even if it meant making an enemy of Lisa.
セシル殿下のことが好きです。大好きです。
6 or 7 hours later, the prince completely dropped the act, having Anna take the stage to publicly expose Lisa's various misdeeds. The lower-ranking nobles who had previously been bullied chimed in one after another, turning their fire on Lisa together. But not only did Lisa not deny it, she flaunted her status as the Marquis' daughter and the future queen, claiming that the low-ranking nobles who displeased her had committed even more serious offenses. Seeing this, the prince decided to strip her of this status, and turned around to issue an accusation against the Marquis. He already had the evidence of the Marquis and his accomplices' crimes, since her father was deemed a criminal. As the daughter of a criminal, she naturally could not become the mother of a nation.
これは何かの間違いですわ。お父様は潔白ですわ。あなたの隣には私が。セシル殿下。
Awakened by Lisa's repeated calls, the prince finally snapped out of the illusion. As his stolen emotions returned to him, he finally confirmed that this was the world where his Lisa existed. The previous illusion not only failed to affect his feelings for Lisa, but instead made him deeply realize just how extraordinary Lisa was. He couldn't help but well up with tears. He urged the little bird to give up while it still could, saying that no matter what illusion it showed him, his feelings for Lisa would never change. The little bird finally showed itself. Its body was becoming transparent, looking like it was about to disappear entirely. It begged the prince to choose Anna. Unfortunately, because of their actions, the prince had nothing but disgust left for Anna. Anna, but Anna kept telling the little bird that the prince was her destined soulmate, and it was only natural for him to fall in love with her. But who would like someone who, to fulfill her own wishes, would hurt others? Precisely because of her reckless actions, she could never find happiness. If she could just accept the changed future, she wouldn't be standing there all alone. But she didn't know how to reflect on her own faults, and the little bird was the accomplice fueling her arrogance. The little bird knew it, and Anna had caused a lot of trouble. It only wanted to beg the prince to pass on a message. The prince didn't mind helping. After all, it was thanks to them that he discovered his own true feelings. It wanted to tell Anna, even if you can't see me, I will always stay by your side. Unexpectedly, before it disappeared, the prince accidentally saw the little bird's memories, which brought a slight twinge of pain to his heart, and the only thing he could do at this moment was to help it leave behind a tiny sliver of hope. The rest would depend entirely on Anna's own choices.